Girlfriend doesn't like my dog. I, am 25, have been dating my girlfriend, F 27, for about a year and 3 months. Since we met, everything was the perfect story, as most relationships start out as. However, about 2 months into this relationship, I was moving 4 hours away to medical school. While it worked out for the first year, as things intensified, we knew we wanted to live together and that distance was just too much. So she moved in with me while I finished out medical school. After growing up with a family dog being in the house, I rescued my dog almost 3 years ago when I was in school. While she had her problems, I have since sent her to training and most of the problems are a thing of the past. I have the typical, my dog is my world, kind of relationship with her and nothing will change that. The first problem I had was when I would return home during the first year of medical school and was getting blamed for not giving my girlfriend enough time because I felt that leaving my dog at my parents' wasn't fair to them. Thinking that was the only issue and that it was unrelated to her not being a dog person, we worked through it and progressed to her moving this past spring as stated above. However, arguments kept happening. I realized the importance of compromise in a relationship, but not compromise to the point of losing an aspect of who you fundamentally are as an individual. I compromised on things I was okay with doing with my dog, like allowing her on the couch, allowing her on the bed, and leaving her out of a cage when alone during the day, because I wanted my girlfriend to be able to live with me and tolerate living with my dog. I also compromised our living situation by moving an hour away from my medical school in order for her to be near a bigger city and be closer to work. My girlfriend brings up frequently how annoying my dog can be, letting out a single bark at other dogs outside, panting longer and louder than what she sees as normal, whining when in the cage at night or in the morning, how she doesn't want her, how she is the only thing that causes heated arguments, and how if she was gone we wouldn't fight all the time. My compromises have gotten to the point where my dog can't be near the couch because her fur might get on it. I'm not allowed to let my dog lick me because she might also lick my girlfriend and she doesn't want that, and that my dog needs to have alone time away from me because she's too attached in my girlfriend's eyes. It reached a breaking point where I realized I keep agreeing to these things to avoid arguments, but realize down the line that I'm not happy with the compromise I'm getting in return because I feel like I'm just slowly being forced to cut my dog out of my life. When that happens, an argument ensues. What should I do when she thinks that this is something that we will never agree on? Too long did not read. My girlfriend doesn't like living my dog even though she knew what she was getting into. I made lots of changes in attempts to make her happier and nothing seems to be enough and more things keep adding on. What should I do? You've accepted the responsibility of the dog, she needs to get over it. I bet your girlfriend is louder than your dog, whines more than your dog and leaves her fur everywhere too. She sounds like a bit of a dick. Take the dog and live your best life. Sorry, bit of an animal lover here. Keep the dog. Take the girlfriend to a farm where she can run and be free. You've already severely limited what your dog can do in her own house that she's been doing for 3 years because of this chick. Doesn't seem fair to the dog. Poor dog, I think you already know what to do. Honestly, in my opinion, the dog stays and the girl goes as she will never be happy and she is jealous of the dog. I'd get rid of the girlfriend. She's eventually going to make you get rid of the dog. Lock your dog and your girlfriend in the bathroom. Go out on the town with your friends for the night, at least 6 hours. When you return, open the bathroom door. Whoever is genuinely happier to see you gets to stay. Get rid of the girlfriend. She sounds mean. I think my boyfriend is lying about being in medical school. I, 26F, have been dating Sam, 31M, for about 4 months now. We met online and he told me he was going to be a doctor. The first 2 months were fine, but the last 2 months I have started to feel like he hasn't been honest about several aspects of his life, the biggest being him in medical school. He used to live overseas and was in medical school there for a short time. I'm pretty sure this is true because I've seen pictures. That was about 5 years ago. The school that he says he goes to is fairly prestigious, and I have another friend, Jason, who graduated with a medical degree from the same school. Jason has told me how difficult the program was and how he never had time for anything besides studying. Jason also said that nobody in his program worked. Sam works 40 hours a week in an office, and I've never once seen him study. He always seems to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time, which I thought was odd. I asked him why he never is studying and he said he doesn't need to. I was always a good test taker and never studied a lot in college, but I still feel like medical school is a whole different ballgame. I've spent a lot of time at Sam's house and have never seen a single document suggesting he was in school, textbooks, assignments, nothing. He also has let me use both of his computers and I've never seen anything on his history or anything suggesting anything to do with school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school I had papers all over my house and my computer always had school stuff on it. A few weeks ago we were at dinner and, I can't remember how this was brought up, but he mentioned that the human ear has 30-something bones in it. I know from high school biology that it has 3 bones, and I said he was wrong. He said something to the effect of, "I'm a medical student. How are you going to tell me I'm wrong?" So I googled it right in front of him and showed him that I was correct, and he seemed mad. I then asked him how many bones were in the human body and he was wrong again. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff a medical student would know, right? Even I know that. So this week I've been feeling suspicious, so I decided to prod. I asked him if I could come sit in on one of his classes, and he said his school doesn't do that. Fine. I asked if we could meet up on campus for lunch, and he said I couldn't come because you need a student ID to get on campus due to COVID. Fine. I asked to see his student ID, and he said he lost it. Then I asked him if he could send me a selfie of him in his hospital uniform, and he said he doesn't like the way he looks in a white coat. He sends me other selfies all the time. I feel like at this point he's lying, but some of my friends say I'm being paranoid. If he is lying, how should I prove it? And #X200B. Edit. He's not actually my boyfriend, he's just someone I've been seeing frequently. I just wrote that for the ease of the title. Honey, you need to walk away. The red flags are waving in the breeze. Loudly. If he will lie about this, there is no limit to what we will lie about. Does he even work where he says he does? Yeah. This is incredibly sketchy. The empty computer and no schoolwork are the biggest concerns I have as a current university student. Emo, this deserves an immediate conversation involving an ultimatum. He comes clean and proves his status as a student beyond any shadow of a doubt, or you're fucking out of there. I think you know what's going to happen, and I'm really sorry in advance. I've listened to this exact podcast. Seriously, this exact story. Run. Current season of Something Was Wrong. He's 100% lying and you shouldn't have to prove it. Just tell him you know that he's lying and ask why he felt the need to lie and see how he reacts. This is a super weird lie to be keeping up for this long, and I'd be concerned about what else he's lying about. He has an answer for everything it seems. Likely he is lying and won't come clean and is in too deep with it now. That's gonna be a solid, get the fuck out. Dude, when I was in a college and working full-time I barely had time to see my boyfriend, let alone have dinner out. I slept MAAAAAYBE 5H a night, and during midterms and finals that was more like 8H altogether the week of exams and presentations. I always had my book bag on me. I have few friends that are MDs now, and when they were in med school plus doing their rotations that's all they did. Med school is not for the faint of heart. Trust your gut. And ask your boyfriend, is he really in med school? 'Cause you know if he is, there should be zero issue with him showing you some assignments, and believe me he should have plenty thereof. If you need student ID to enter the campus and he lost his, how do he gets to school? Gaslighting hour 5 yo. A little long, but I'm noticing some behaviors in my husband's interactions with our son that make realize that he has probably been manipulating me all along. Looking back, this is something I should have caught on to well before we were married and had kids. But I was fooled, and now here we are. I have noticed my husband more or less gaslighting our 5 yo. At least I think that would be the right term for this sort of manipulation. Here is just the latest example. We were all watching a kid-friendly show on Netflix before Son's 5 yo bedtime. When the show finished he still had a little snack left, so we just let the trailers run. One came on for the Eternals and I excitedly said, "Oh, I want to watch this." So of course my son chimed in with the same. I went to the next room to get my son's vitamin but could hear the conversation like this. S. Can we watch it? H. Yeah. S. We can. H. Yup. S. Like the real thing, not just the commercial? H. Of course we can. S. Okay, so turn it on. H. It is on. Look at that. Wow, it's so cool. S. No, the real thing, turn it on. H. Uh-huh. S. This isn't it. You said we could watch it. H. What? S. You said we could watch the real thing. H. What are we watching? S. This. Turn it on. You said we could watch it. H. Oh, I don't know. I'm very confused. This is a rough paraphrasing, but it is more or less how the conversation went. With my husband telling him of course he could do what he wanted. Till our kid actually said okay bet. Then he just started to act confused and like he had no idea what they were talking about. Which I might have just called a sneaky parenting trick, but I've noticed him do the same to me before, and when I asked him about this incident and why he would say yes in the first place, he tried telling me that he didn't know what I was talking about. I said yes? When did I say yes? A movie? Oh, I don't know what that was. As I started out with in the beginning, now that I'm seeing it through my child's eyes, I see how he does it to me. I see him do it to his mom. And I'm sure he's been doing it to me all along, but I fell for it and thought I was crazy all along. Yes, he is intentionally gaslighting, and it sounds like he gets a kick out of it. Start calling him on it each time, and don't engage in argument. I heard what you said. You are not confused. Refuse to discuss it anymore. If you hear him doing it to others, also back them up, especially your son. Yes, Daddy did say you can watch it, so we will watch it now. Same for your mother-in-law. Yes, he did say he would call Sunday, or whatever. If it continues, ask for him to go to marriage counseling. You might consider putting your phone on record and playing him back to himself a time or two, but I would try just shutting it down for a bit and see if it has an impact. Don't let anyone tell you this is nothing. It is not. Tell your husband that he seems to be getting confused a lot lately, and that you want to take him to be assessed for early onset dementia. That might snap him out of his annoying game. His behavior is gross and inappropriate. He is teaching his son that he can't trust his father. That's not a good lesson. Yea, he knows what he is doing. He figured out a harmless way to avoid talking or confronting about things he just doesn't want to deal with. This is definitely gaslighting, and he has probably used this form of manipulation since he was very young. He's essentially pretending to play dumb. You should listen to your gut, you are not crazy, and call him out next time he does this to you or your son. Don't let him think he's smarter than you for getting one over. Or even better, do the same thing back to him and see if he notices. It doesn't feel good to be manipulated and then told you're one with the problem. This sounds very scary, to be honest. It sounds like he might be doing it to make situations go smoother, similar to a compulsive liar, at least in the examples you've given. But the distress that it causes in you and your son is significant. You aren't crazy. Something is not right here. Once you see it, you won't unsee it. Just tell him straight you won't put up with it anymore because it's abusive. And you can't allow him to abuse an innocent child in the way he has you. Tell him he has 3 months to correct his behavior or you will reconsider the marriage and mean it. This is a very bizarre situation. I don't think he's intentionally gaslighting, rather he has found a method to avoid a topic, or perhaps it's far more terrifying and it's early onset dementia. Perhaps a doctor's visit is in order if he is truly not intentionally gaslighting conversation topics. Lol. This is what my dad did. This abuse destroys lives. Save your son, please. I, 29M, don't know what to do. My fiancée, 28F, just told me she never wants children. Apologies for any formatting or spelling mistakes, on mobile. Also, please no one copy or use this anywhere else. Basically, I'm looking for advice. I really love my fiancé, we've been together for over 6 years. In that time we've been through a lot. My partner has some health problems, but we've been able to deal with them together as a couple and work through our issues in the past. I've always made it clear that at some point, I want to be a father, probably sooner rather than later. We've recently purchased and are renovating our first home together, having never lived together to this point. We're hoping to move in together within the next month. Tonight we had a discussion about what life would be like when we move in, and how I've been feeling like she's been growing distant. This may be true, or it may be due to my ongoing mental health issues relating to stress and anxiety. But as part of the conversation, the future and specifically children were brought up. She's now suggested that she's never willing to have children, despite us discussing this in the past and her knowing full well it's a bit of a deal breaker for me. So I'm looking for advice. We've discussed it and come to a bit of an impasse. She's willing to consider adopting or fostering, but I still feel like at some point I want my own biological children. Where do I go from here? Is there really any hope for the future if our relationship, or has it reached its natural conclusion? I still really love this woman, but it's a major issue for me that's came out of nowhere, and I don't know what to do or say. If you aren't okay with her compromise, there is nothing else to do and it's run its course. Forcing her to have biological children, or persuading her over time, will just lead to resentment. If having bio kids is a deal breaker for you and she doesn't want any, you have your answer. You've talked about it before and you made clear that wanting no children is a deal-breaker. Now she says, knowing full well it is a deal-breaker, that she will not have children. It seems she is the one ending the relationship. A deal-breaker means if violated, the relationship is over. If this truly is a deal-breaker for you, then there is no compromise. Do not have children with someone who doesn't want them or who's willing to compromise on their desire not to have children to make you happy. The kids can definitely tell when one parent didn't want them, and it can be really hurtful and even dangerous environment to raise a child in. So she's not opposed to the idea of children, she just doesn't want to give birth? If so, you can approach this in the same way you'd approach it if you found out one or the other of you was infertile. You can adopt or, to have biological children, you can use a surrogate with your sperm and her eggs if she wants, or donated eggs if she doesn't. You have options. If she's not even sure she wants to be a mother, there's no real workaround for that. You will not be happy compromising and not having kids, and she would be miserable having children she didn't want. If you want your own biological children and she's not willing to do that, then you make moves to sell the house, split the profit and go your separate ways. Because if you stay, you're going to resent not having your own children. She shouldn't have children to keep you if that's not what she wants, and she knew way back that it was a deal breaker for you. Regardless of what you will be told by some Redditors, you're okay to want biological children over adoption or other means. I'm confused. Does she never want kids, or is she interested in fostering or adopting? Do you think she might have found out she's not able to have kids? Seems like a pretty drastic change.